I am joined today by Mr. Agent Espo.
Hello, everyone. One day I was just making some videos, and then you saw and you were like, hey, want to come out? And I was like, sure, why not? Like, go to Rumble. And he's like, we're already there on Rumble. Like, you don't even know about me? Like, that just tells me that you just repeat this phrase.
Just go to Rumble. It's like, guys, trust me, I'd love to be elsewhere. Like, that's why I play so much Hell Let Loose. Tank crew with my boys. So you got your driver, your gunner. I'm tank commanding, working with the infantry.
Driving like 25 minutes, getting blown up, and then begging a commander for another tank. Like...
Gentlemen, welcome back to the Managerial Outcomes Podcast, a podcast that is one of the podcasts of all times. And if I save the word podcast enough, then Joe Rogan will appear and shoot me with his compound bow, just like the old legends when you were a child of ghost stories. I am joined today by Mr. Agent Espo. Say hi.
Hello, everyone.
He is my diversity guest. I could have used straight face. I'm sorry.
I'm like the second or third Mexican on the podcast.
You're up there, dude.
Yeah.
My Latinx friends, he just stabs me in the neck. Real treat to have you on, man. I heard we were talking before the whole thing of hit and record, and you had to go through a journey to get here, so I appreciate you doing that.
Of course.
And I'm excited to have you on. We're going to go do some filming soon, but this is a great chance to like just yap, because that's what a podcast is like professional yapping with mics and a camera.
Having a conversation.
In lighting. Yeah, so really fun, dude. I've been enjoying your channel. How long have you been going at it?
So I've been uploading for probably like 2 years now.
Yeah.
But since February, I actually like kept a consistent schedule.
Okay.
So that's when I like kind of locked in.
Yeah.
Let me make sure I'm the right levels here.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good.
I like locked in probably like February. I think it was the M16A3 video that like first like popped off, because it got like 10,000 views like overnight, and I was like, oh, this isn't like, this actually turned into something. So then I started to upload like every 2 weeks after that.
Yeah.
So
well, that's fun, dude. What was the catalyst, dude? What made you want to start YouTube videos?
Well,
because it's a kind of like a sadomasochist when you really learn more about YouTube and you're like, why am I punishing myself?
You always see guys complaining about how life is horrible as a YouTuber, as like a gun tuber, because every year like YouTube releases some policy that you know is bad for it, just like further restricts. But I think I got into it. There was a few channels out there that inspired me. You may know of maybe one of them, Executive Outcomes, ring a bell.
God damn. I heard of that channel. Yeah, not a bad channel.
I don't know if he's around anymore, but
I heard he got zucked by something or maybe assassinated. I don't know.
I think Ethan Barlow took him out finally.
Mr. Barlow said no more.
But obviously your channel, a few other channels out there. I was like, I saw that. So like before, I want to say like 2020, I was like really deep into like all the prepper like channels on YouTube. Like that was my algorithm, was just like fear porn pretty much. Yeah. And I came across like channels like yours that were like having fun. And I was like, I really like channels that are doing this kind of thing, especially like during these like dark times or whatever. We thought the world was going to end, and I don't know.
Usually how it goes.
It was like, okay. And then I saw like your channel, a few others that were like, okay, these guys are like having fun.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying like this kind of content. And I always wanted to do like some video game clone kind of guns, because I didn't see a lot of people doing that. So that's where I kind of wanted to steer my channel in the direction of.
I feel like video game clones is such a weird, not weird, but like the video game guns themselves, because I was watching some of your stuff on it, where like the developers put together these guns. And for the sake of practicality, it's like, what the hell are you thinking? Like, what are you doing putting that optic on this? Or like the classic red dot with like the window that's in every first-person shooter. Like as a gun guy, whenever I see that, I'm like, oh my, it makes my head roll. I'm like, dude, this is the worst red dot. You drop that on the ground, it's going to go ka-ch.
It's going to explode, yeah. I think it's like Airsoft. I think people were modeling their guns after Airsoft guns.
Yeah.
So they took that, but I don't know. The culture is like really advanced with video games now, where like if you see that, it's like the Pan AV is what they call it. If you see that red dot, like it's gonna get roasted. And like they are like, even the new Modern Warfares have much better optics and like attention to detail, which I can appreciate. But it was an interesting, like back in the day, like we didn't, at least I don't know if you were, like you played the original Black Ops Modern Warfare. Did you care about the optic choices? Like, did you even think about it?
No, you're not there yet when it comes to the gun autism. You're just playing the game, having fun. You probably think that that's a sick red dot, and then you buy one for your airsoft gun to go play on the weekends with the boys, you know? Like that's, your mind's not grasping it just yet until you, of course, get cursed with knowledge. Like now, it's like you look at every attachment in the video game. I'm like, all right, why are they putting it here? Why is it not here? Why, like, the best game I've played for gun stuff is probably Ground Branch.
Okay.
Like you can really customize your rifle, and they have a metric shit ton of attachments that you can use, and like how you can set it up, and like they have like cans and IR lasers and lights. And then you can like click it. Like it's really good attention to detail. Of course, when you get to that level of autism, and I'm probably sure like ARMO has it too or something like that. But when you get to that level, like the mainstream audience just doesn't care. Like they're like, I want my gun attachment to make sense for a meta build, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. I think all those guys that grew up playing the games that became like us, they got it, but they had like a different flavor of autism, and they were like, they wanted to do coding and they wanted to do game, development. Yeah. Those guys grew up and started to make games like Ground Branch, and
which
there's
makes
a few
me
others.
Really happy.
Yeah.
For like guys that actually made really good attention to detail stuff. Like I really do appreciate that. Like that's really fun.
It is pretty cool. But yeah, you look at some of these old Call of Duty games and you look at the attachments, and as being cursed with knowledge, like you called it, looking at it, you're like, bro, this is like so way off. And you can really see all the mistakes that people would make when it came to that stuff. It's just fascinating to go back and see.
Even like reading IMFDB, it's like I was looking at the SCAR and like 104.2, and they had to do something like with the end of the barrel. I can't remember what it was, like around the gas block, or like the rear sight was backwards, or there was no, like they cut the rear sight in half for the rear sight aperture, so it was like a half moon as opposed to where it should be a circle.
Okay,
stuff like that, where you're like, you're just going down this rabbit hole, and you're like, what the heck were they thinking? But it has to make sense to like the normies that like they don't understand sight picture, and then trying to probably get a sight picture through iron sights in a video game is a nightmare. Maybe, I guess it's because it's like, how do you try and translate that to the human eye, where the human eye can see it so well?
Yes.
But in a video game, through like a screen and all that coding, it's like, how does that translate? Because like games like Hell Let Loose on the M1 Garand, the rear sight aperture is massive compared to what it is in real life.
And they just chopped the Thompson one.
Yeah, they just chopped the Thompson. Yeah.
Yeah.
They just half mooned it. It's like, all right. Yeah.
But I don't know why, but it's cool to like, to me, it's interesting to make clones of the mistakes that people made.
It is, yeah.
And kind of show people what was wrong with it and what's actually based off of. Like that stuff is just very interesting to me. So
I'll give them props, like in your Call of Duty video for Modern Warfare 2 with the M4 build. Like the some of the the idea of that red dot has a super big window. It's very small, low profile. If it was indestructible, it actually wouldn't be
exactly
cool. I mean, maybe more enclosed, but like or the other one, like the $40 Amazon one.
Yeah,
I can't remember. You were talking about like it was on like a campaign mission only, I think, right? Like it wasn't
the Tasco.
Yeah. It's like, dude. I mean, it kind of looks cool, kind of.
It's like a T2 wannabe kind of thing.
It's like a T2 wannabe that's just terrible.
But in like my memory, I thought about that mission. I was like, Mel, maybe it was like a T2 they were modeling it after. And then you go back and look, and you're like, oh, this is not a T2 at all.
No.
But it's like kind of being a placeholder for like an aim point kind of thing. So I don't know. It's fun. And it's cheap to clone some of this stuff anyway.
That's true. Yeah, it's like all you need is a basic M4 setup, and you get the Amazon going.
Yeah.
That's a good point, dude.
So like starting off a new channel, it's like one thing, ARs are so cheap right now. So like I can't, like starting a channel off with like about AKs right now is probably not a good idea, just because I feel like the AK market is just gone to trash. But like ARs are so inexpensive. We like live in the golden era that it's like so easy to like clone some of these. I don't always get it perfect, but to build some of these like video game guns like that were based on ARs from games, it's inexpensive for a channel that's starting out.
Yeah. So. And the financial strain on a new channel can be rather unpleasant. I'm sure you've learned that like the repeating of making content is rather hectic, and you're also working a full-time job on top of it as well. So it becomes like a second job pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, there's been multiple times. It feels like I'm studying in school where like I have to do a paper, and like because I'm pretty much consistent. Like every other Sunday, like I'm gonna upload something. Which maybe that's not a good mindset, but there's been nights where I'm like Saturday. This most recent video I did, the M4. By the time it's the Call of Duty M4, I was up until 3 a.m. on Sunday morning, and I go to work at 5 a.m. on Sunday. So I was like, I went to bed for 2 hours and then I dipped out because I just had to. I'm like, I have this thing in my mind, and I don't know that I need to get the video out every 2 weeks. Otherwise, like the algorithm's gonna like destroy me or whatever.
Yeah, the existential dread of dealing with, will the algorithm rape and pillage me?
Yeah.
That's a real thing. It's a real thing. And I don't know if it ever goes away because I always feel it too. Depending on how much I want to work too. Like some months I'll go pretty hard making more videos than just the standard 4 a month I try and shoot for. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Because I feel like for me, like a baseline is really good is like 4 a month. Because it's like, all right, you spend all your time working. And sometimes my system's set up to where it's like if the video's not that complex, it's like, all right, well, I can probably get another video done within this month too. I'll stack it on. So. But yeah, you'll always feel the algorithm dread.
It's the consistency thing is what I'm trying to nail.
Yeah, I mean, there are guys that I think do it like once a month. Some guys do it like once every 6 months. Like it just depends on how hard you want to go and the amount of work that goes into a video. Yeah. I mean, the nice thing with gun stuff, it's like depending on how you frame it, there's only so much that you can really do with it. So if you have like the knowledge that you can swim in, and then it's like you have your all your footage that you needed, like the cool guy shooting footage, and then all the talking. It shouldn't take that long to put together. Yeah, but it's definitely a tricky challenge to keep doing it over and over again. That's the hard part.
The repeatability of it.
Yeah,
like the whole winning your audience back every video is what it feels like.
Yeah, that's definitely a factor. You know, building up that trust, making sure that they feel seen and loved. Hey, I love you. We had a moment.
It's okay. I understand it.
A little special moment.
I'm trying to like find my moment where I can point at the camera like Jim from The Office, but I'm still kind of settling in. And
it's all practice.
Yeah. He's an expert at this. I'm just, I feel like a guy off the street, you know, like I was just like, one day I was just making some videos and then you saw and you were like, hey, you want to come out? And I was like, sure, why not? And now I'm here. So it's all kind of it's been a shock because the growth has been kind of like, you know, taken off and whatnot. And I'm having people reach out to me and it's all kind of like it's kind of I don't have the words to describe it, but it's very surprising. And
well, it's fun. I was digging your stuff. You're making some really quality videos. So I thought it'd be really cool to have you out. And I liked your style a lot, like the creativity, the attention to detail, your autistic obsession with like weird guns that I think are cool too. And I was like, oh, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. So it's good to have you on, man.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me out. And I'm a little nervous, but I can feel myself. I got to like warm up a little bit.
Oh, yeah, you're good. Gentlemen, this podcast is made possible thanks to Americana Pipe Dream Apparel. Fantastic young Zoomers getting after it in the Milsurb space and arena. They want to equip your wardrobe and make you LARPed out to the nines. You never know what Gucci stuff they will get in stock on the site. So I would encourage you to stay up to date because things do sell out quickly when they get the really cool stuff on there. And they have a plethora of things that can take your LARP to the next level.
Is that a real STG?
Or no, I freaking wish, dude.
You can cut that. I don't want if you people don't want to know that that's maybe you're trying to have this illusion that it's real.
No, that would be lame. I got it from True Corn, I think is what they're called. They're like they do like pot metal prop guns.
Okay.
I mean, get the grease gun over. Like they look pretty solid for what they are. Like at a glance, if you're doing like film stuff, like which kind of like or prop stuff, they look the part. But sadly, no. I wish. It's my biggest regret that I wasn't born in like the 60s to buy all these cool guns.
I know. When you go back and like learn the lore of like, was it 1986, NFA and all that, it's just so, I try not to think about it too much because it's so upsetting.
Think about your parents. I'm like, Dad, why?
My dad like wasn't even a gun owner like that. Like he had like a Ruger 1022 growing up.
No. They didn't have, like there wasn't the internet, there wasn't the culture, like, I mean, there was magazines. There was probably small pockets. It was probably like guys like Burt Gomer from Trimmers, you know. You ever see Trimmers? All right. Homework lesson. You got to watch Trimmers, my dude.
There's a lot of movies I haven't seen.
Yeah. But no, Burt Gomer, I think his name is. It's definitely Burt. Reba McIntosh or McIntyre. I'm really screwing the pooch on this.
The redheaded lady?
Yeah. Is his wife in that movie? Dude, they're fighting giant worms in the deserts.
That's with Kevin Bacon, right?
Yeah, it's with Kevin Bacon. Yeah. Great movie. Anyway, dude's like a gun nut prepper. And so it's like there's probably pockets of those dudes throughout the country, but they were probably considered weirdos for having so many guns. But now it's kind of like vogue and cool to have a bunch of guns.
Yeah.
I think people have realized like, oh, that's actually really cool because guns are cool.
Yeah, they had like the A-Team and Dirty Harry, like our parents growing up, you know, like the culture wasn't, there were some guys I think that were dialed in. I think like maybe
Yeah.
Hickok probably was because he has like an old. That's just the first guy that came to mind, but he's got like an old M16. I think he converted
Yeah.
before like '86. So like he had some guys that knew what was coming,
Yeah.
but it was not the way it is now.
Yeah. You probably had to be really tapped into some certain articles and publishers that were giving you the inside scoop. It's like there's no forums. You know what I mean? Where do you go to learn about all this stuff?
Yeah.
You have to be like a regular at a local gun store that probably gets all this, and you get tapped into that info.
Yeah.
Like,
Know somebody who I feel like a lot of military guys probably were more dialed into it.
and it's probably more socially acceptable for them to be more dialed into it too. Because I mean, if you like even get into the guns when we got into guns, and this isn't that long ago, you know, I was really getting into them around 2018, 2017 is when I first started like getting serious about it. And it was like, even then, if I was posting a shooting drill on Instagram back in the day, people would be like, why you doing this? Why don't you just go join the military?
Yeah. Yeah. Or airsoft.
Or airsofting, why are you doing this? Why don't you just go join the military? Now it's kind of like shifted to be like, we're like, oh, military doesn't let you do all this fun stuff that you want to do whenever you want to do it. It's like, so I think people have kind of shifted their perspective.
I think people outside the community still think of us that same way.
I think so. But then I think it's been kind of curled or kind of shifted a little bit based off of like COVID and all the riots.
Yeah, that's true.
Because all those normies were like, oh, I got to protect myself now.
I mean, I knew a few of them that were going out and buying guns. They were anti-gun until it was.
Hey, can I borrow a gun?
Yep. I'm gonna come to your house when the zombies come.
I'm gonna use you for fertilizer. How about that? Yeah,
but
not happening.
No, you're right. I think like our community is more open now to like airsoft and like the LARP.
Well, that's the thing is like you have companies like Milsim West, and it's ran by literal Army Rangers, probably one of the best special operators in the world. Like that group of dudes, like just extremely violent dudes, and they're running these airsoft games that are supposed to feel like a military FTX, and they're phenomenal. Like I've tried other airsoft events, and I don't want to like rub anyone the wrong way by naming names, but it's just like after you go to a Milsim West, it kind of ruins you. Like I've had moments where my heart was pounding at an airsoft game, and I was like, dude, I feel like I'm about to actually shoot someone. Like that's when I was like, all right, this is peak. Like, this is really, until you start hearing the gazik, 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 and you're like, okay, all right, we're back to a game.
I've been to one. I went to one in Tennessee, and I'm pretty sure Blue Jean Operator and his like team like annihilated us like night one, because I thought I heard him like screaming at like bloody murder, and they were like bounding on us, and it was a terrible night for a lot of reasons. But yeah, I got that rush of like the Russians are right over that hill, like I can hear them, and then they're so dialed in, some of those guys, because they are like yelling Russian, like they're speaking Russian, and then some of them have the blank fire guns.
It's sick.
So it like really creates that whole environment.
Sick, dude. I remember I was at the Georgia one, and we were playing as the Chechens, so I was going full tilt, lean into it. Like I had the blank fire AK-103, it was full auto, and I was just Allahu Akbar, you know, like ripping into them.
Isn't that like the one phrase they don't they like don't allow like certain phrases at Milsim West?
I don't know, but I was screaming it. I don't know if they don't allow that one. But I was funny. If they did, hey, my bad. Sorry guys, if that was one of them. But no, I was like trying to give those like, so like the thought is like you give those guys like a really good immersive experience. Like imagine trying to fight like you know, about it jihadis, and that's what they're screaming, and you're hearing the blank fire going off.
It's accurate to the lore. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But since I've been to a Milsim West, now I'm like, if I go to any of these other ones, I feel like I'm going to be let down a little bit.
Kind of. So, I mean, what Milsim West does so good is like the uniform regulations, because then it's like the Russians look like Russians. They're acting like the role. They have the guns for the role. And it's really important. Like, it's not as big of a deal during the daytime where it's like green versus tan. And it's kind of like any gun goes, any kit goes. But once the sun goes down, how do you tell who's on your team? You know, if everyone's speaking English, if everyone has uniform standards, it's like you really would have to get dialed in with like the IFF or how you'd mark your guys up, you know. It becomes like a nightmare.
That sounds like
it. Milsim West actually does it really well because like the cohesion and then the uniforms makes it pretty obvious. So, like you're looking like, all right, that guy's got an AK, he's either on my team or not. Oh, that guy has an AR pattern. All right, that's NATO, let's smoke him. So it's
pretty straightforward.
Becomes pretty, yeah.
And I mean, even a lot of the guys wear like multicam now, right? The Rust 4 guys, they have like a weird FSB or something like that.
Yeah, like I mean, their like patterns look like, and those guys are way dialed in on all of that. Like, but they like their patterns look more and more Western. Is what it feels like. But they just happen to have like Zenit code out AKs.
And so the rifle is, if you know your guns, like you can easily see.
Yeah.
which is cool.
And then there's also guys running bean kit too. And that looks pretty sick.
What's that?
Like the standard infantry kit for the Russians.
Oh, okay.
Like they call it like the bean kit 'cause it's like a green beanie. That's what it looks like. So.
Yeah, because they have it's like the Russians. Like that's a whole crew of
Yeah.
like, and those guys like buy real kit from Russia, and like it's wild like how deep the Russian lore gets.
I love how hard they go.
Yeah,
dude, I love the level of like attention to detail that they put in. That's what's really cool. And that's like I give a lot of respect to it. I think it's pretty sick.
It is cool.
Yeah, but it's hard if you're trying to go for like another event and they don't have that like after you've tasted it. Because at first, like I think a lot of people are off put by how hardcore it is. Because a lot of guys treat they don't want to take airsoft too serious because there's that whole stipulation of like, I want to have fun. I don't want to take it too serious. You know, people are going to think I'm a nerd if I take it too serious. But if you do like lean into it the right way, I think it's even that much cooler. So
yeah, you don't want to be like dressing people down and like trying to like actually pull rank.
No,
but there's a healthy way to do it.
Right.
Like
if you I mean, I'd be okay if like you're playing a game, for instance, or like you got an event and there was like say a platoon leader, a platoon sergeant, and you have your sergeant in your team. And you're like, all right, I'm cool with the rank structure.
Yeah.
You're going along with it. It's a learning experience. You know what I mean? You're just like another like faceless soldier doing the fighting. And if you work together with your boys, you get to beat the other guys. That's the stuff I love. It's like teamwork, force on force. Like when you play video games, it's like I don't know if you've developed like the itch for it, but like advanced teamwork, doing like force on force games. Like that's like the itch I have. Like I know guys are really into like Warhammer right now and stuff like that, but I love like actually smoking another person that's on the other side of a console. Like that's why I play so much Hell Let Loose. And like I'm doing like a tank crew with my boys. So you got your driver, your gunner, I'm tank commanding, working with the infantry, and then pushing the objective, get online with other tanks. That's the stuff I love.
Driving like 25 minutes, getting blown up, and then begging a commander for another tank. Like
luckily we played so much where it's like, all right, we know how to approach, we know not to sit still for too long, otherwise they're gonna call in an air. Oh, they call in an airstrike. Oh, I got 20 minutes before they can do anything about me.
The stupid
Yeah, so.
Yeah, that's not me. When I drive a tank, I'm like, it's me and my brother and like my cousin, and we're like, who wants to be the driver? And like, I don't want to be the driver.
Dude.
And then we just go, and then we get blown up. We're like, well, I guess we're those guys who hog the tanks, I guess, and like ruin it for everybody. But
I have probably the best tank driver. His name's Tucker. You gotta give him a shout out, dude. Best tank driver I've ever worked with. He owns it. He owns the tank driving. Like he'll switch off with another guy, Jake, and then also have Jordan, who's like one of the other guys in the crew, if depending on who's on. But like I have a tank crew, and we have a beautiful synergy. Like some of my buddies that I've been playing video games with for years, I'm like, don't get in my tank. You're not allowed in my tank. You're just it's just not happening. We have to have good synergy. Because it's like one like you have the kaiju mind meld.
Yeah.
And if the guys have a good understanding of how to like orient the tank and like the spatial awareness, you know, like because all you're looking through as a driver is like a little slit. That's all you get. The gunner gets another straw, and then the tank commander can help guide everyone into where like you have threats. Yeah. But yeah, dude, Tucker owns the driving spot. He'll be like, I'm driving the Tiger. And he'll get in and we just mop house, dude.
That's cool.
I guess as a tank commander, it's really fun because like I'm probably the worst one in the tank compared to the other two guys like that can like drive and gun. Like they're phenomenal. I'm just like, all right, hey, we're calling out targets, looking at the map for them, just getting them to where they need to be to do the killing. Like that's fun.
It's fun to be I always call it the spotter, but it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Where you have the telescope and you can like see everybody.
Yeah, you have the periscope and
you're like, he's right there. He's right there. You're like my ping, and it's like the ping is like delayed sometimes on that game. You're like, where?
Real quick, if you're hearing a baby off screen, Robert's lovely wife and child are over there hiding from the heat outside. So you will tolerate it. They are my guests. Yeah.
She plays Hell Loose with me actually.
Oh hell yeah, that's sick.
She's the medic. Yeah.
Yeah, they hear a girl talking. Wait, what is that?
That's the best part about Hell Let Loose, though, is it because it feels like old Battlefield.
Yeah.
Like, because Battlefield's not good anymore, but it feels like old Battlefield, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like the squad stuff similar.
The teamwork.
Yeah.
That's what I love is the stakes of it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, I'm pushing. If you die, it's like a 30-second respawn. You're like, oh. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, one time when I first got the game, I jumped in as like squad leader because I thought it was just gonna be like Call of Duty, and everyone was like screaming at me, like hazing me, like this guy doesn't know what he's doing, and I'm like, I didn't play squad lead for like another 6 months. Like I was like traumatized. I had to learn the game.
Dude, when I first got Hell Let Loose, this is turning into a Hell Let Loose podcast. When I first got it, I hated the game.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, this sucks. I'm getting obliterated off the spawn. I just wasn't playing it like how you should play it is like real life. Like you find concealment and cover, and then you just like work around that. But no, dude, it was once it clicked, I was like, oh, this is the best, like one of the best games ever.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, when I saw the game, I was similar. When I saw the game, the field manual or whatever, I was like, I don't want to read the whole field manual. Like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
But then I went and watched YouTube, and I was like, all right, I'm starting to kind of want to play this. And then I got some friends, and my wife plays it, and it's a good time.
Dude, there are some moments where I'm like, oh, this is it. Dude.
Yeah.
This is what I live for. I've had some just fantastic tanking moments with the boys, and then with randos, which is even rare. So if you get like a good command chat that's competent, extremely rare. But if you get that, and then like the other tank crews are competent as well, and they all have full tank crews. I mean, we're playing on Foy as the Americans. I had a Sherman Heavy, another Sherman Heavy was up, Sherman Medium, and then my buddy that I don't let in my tank was solo tanking in like a scout vehicle. And so we would all get online and start pushing the objective and like slow rolling it. And then the infantry made like a perfect buffer to keep other infantry off of us. And so we would all get online. Boof, 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 boof,
That's awesome.
Boof, and like we're pushing it. And we're just like, the Germans are like, what the fuck? You know, they can't do anything. And then we're like, all right, shifting fire so the infantry can move on, capture the point, on to the next. Dude, it was sick. They'd be like, the infantry would then call out, hey, there's a Panther tank coming up, and like the 2 heavy shift fire, poof, poof, tank's gone. They couldn't do anything.
Spears is running through, like, it's like the real battle.
It was freaking sick, dude. It's like those moments, I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I play the game. That's why I play the game.
And then you get those moments where I've had these a lot. I play on a console.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if my PC could handle, but I play on console, and what I see a lot of is just like teaming. So like a commander will jump in and like start killing people and then start gaslighting people.
Yeah.
And then like he has a bunch of boys on his side that are like gaslighting each other. And then it just becomes like a whole team kill session in the back.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm out of here. Like, this is stupid.
Yeah,
like,
that's tough. I think maybe the PC crowd's a little bit more elite. The Xbox crowd is a little bit unga boonga at times.
Yeah.
So I have to play. I started off playing on PC. And then I got to Xbox because that's where my buddies were playing, and I was like, I'll play with them. And then my tank driver is on PlayStation, so we cross play.
Okay, so you play on console then too?
Yeah. So I do see that happen every once in a while. Like you get someone that just doesn't understand the game in,
or like you'll be the only like squad trying to like do anything, and like no one else is doing anything. It's just like
it's like hurting like zero idea of what they're doing.
Yeah.
It
happens more than it should for a game like
I'm
Hell
actually
Loose.
stoked that we're just talking about Hell Let Loose.
The whole podcast.
I've been meaning to get this off my chest for a while now. I've been really meaning to dive in.
I've wanted to do squad, but I feel like it's not as cool to like get like Predator drone struck. I don't know what you can do in that game. Yeah. But to me, World War II is like the perfect setting for combined arms gameplay.
Yeah.
Because nothing is like, it's easy to balance. Like aircraft, tanks, infantry, like it's pretty much, there's counters, like rock, paper, scissors kind of gameplay. Yeah. Whereas like squad, I feel like it wouldn't be that way. I have never played it though, so.
I haven't played squad either. I just really enjoyed the World War II aspect. Yeah. Because, I mean, the history is so fun. I want to try out, I think it's Squad 44 now. I think you see Postscriptum. It looks way better than Hell Let Loose. Like if they can take off, I think they might swing back and grab the Hell Let Loose audience back over. Yeah. Like unless it's like too much attention to detail, like their peep sights are smaller, like how they like reload is a little bit more accurate. Like the tanking aspect is way more accurate, I'd say, as well, where it's like you have tracks that if your track gets hit, you have to get out and repair those tracks. Okay. As opposed to you can just hide behind the tank and repair it completely.
Yeah, because Hell Let Loose doesn't really have like do they have a good tank system?
Their tanking is a little archaic. Like stuff that you would think would destroy a tank in one go is like, really, it's taking me 3 shots to destroy this light tank with a 76 millimeter gun. You know what I mean? It's like stuff is like that. But like I think I was seeing stuff in like Squad 44. Guys can get outside of the hatch and look around at the risk of getting their head blown off, you know, stuff like that. Where you're like, oh, that's sick. Guys can ride in the back of tanks way easier.
I think Enlisted even has a better, or in War Thunder, obviously, because that's like their whole bread and butter, I think. Yeah. But they have a better tank damage model, I want to say.
I would say so, yeah.
You can like sometimes one-shot a tank. If you hit it like in the perfect spot, or like an AT rifle, you can like kill specific people in the side of the tank. Yeah. Which is always cool. If you hit it, that's an Enlisted. I've never played War Thunder, but yeah. Hell Loose is a good game. I really enjoy. It gives me Battlefield vibes for sure.
Yeah, it's like how Battlefield should be. I'm really hoping the new Battlefield will actually be good. Do you think they'll have the gall to make it like trench warfare?
Like Ukraine?
A fictional trench warfare
They
setting?
should. That's what we want. We want Battlefield 1, but modern.
Yeah.
Like, I really like Battlefield 5. That's one of my favorites. So if they just made like a Battlefield 5/1 but modern,
Yeah.
I think that's the winning recipe for Battlefield.
I think the mechanics of Battlefield 5 are very good.
Yes.
But like the history and that stuff was all very bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a really rough launch with like the whole, like the woman with the robot arm and the...
Dude, it's like when you're going World War II, you can't do that stuff. It's
Yeah.
such like those like guys like us are so nitpicky about World War
Yes.
II, and we're on the light end of the spectrum. I have buddies that like my buddy Wade. We were playing Hell Let Loose, and one of my other buddies, Cody, was like, "How come they didn't use LVTs at Normandy?" And you could hear Wade just charging up like Godzilla, wonk, 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 to give this big historical explanation of why they used Higgins boats instead of LVTs. Like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like that's like, all right, you're dealing with a guy that knows way more about World War II than you could ever know.
Yes.
So yeah.
That's why it was intimidating to me, like, because I did a Garand video on my channel, but it was very intimidating for that reason, because the World War II guys are so, like, deeply autistic about it.
Yeah.
That
And it makes me happy that they are.
Yeah, no, it is a good thing, but it's also like, all right, I'm not that serious. Like, I'm just trying to, but like, when it comes to some of these games like Battlefield and whatnot, I can kind of look past it because I'm not like too autistic about World War II history. Like,
Yeah.
it does matter to me, but like, I'm not gonna, like, Hell Let Loose, I think there's a lot of like inaccuracies to it.
Yeah.
But like, to me, I don't know that much about it, so I can't really like critique it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think like inaccuracy stuff may come down to like if my shot in the dark. I think the biggest one would just be like uniforms and then timelines of certain things being available
Yeah.
for certain battles. Like there's like STG 44s at Stalingrad and Kursk, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which the timeline doesn't match up. Stuff like that.
I
So.
think, what is it? Some of the tanks, are they not right for Normandy? Is it the 76? See, I'm probably butchering it. The World War II guys are gonna get.
Yeah, I know they're probably gonna they're gonna fire up like Godzilla, but yeah, I can see that where the timeline for certain vehicles doesn't
Just being
match
wrong.
the conflict. Yeah, it doesn't match the timeline.
But like Battlefield was so egregious, 5 at least,
Yeah.
that it was like you couldn't even look past it and be like, okay, this kind of looks like a World War II game. Like,
Yeah.
it was just like so when
Well,
it
they
launched.
they
at
couldn't.
least.
They're trying to do World War II with a mainstream shooter. They're kind of like stuck with their hands tied behind their back, like Battlefield 1 even, where you have like the weird red dots, you know.
Yes.
And it's like I know they existed, and everyone knows that like yeah, they had semi-automatic guns, they had full auto guns, like the experimental Hellrogel, but it's like those weren't mass issue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, so how do you have fun with the game if everyone's running around with bolt actions? They're gonna go crazy.
There was like one Hellrogel like ever, I think, in
Yeah.
existence.
And then it's like the entire assault class is only being
Yes.
run by Hellrogels. It's like, I get it. Like that one, it's like, all right, I understand it's so hard to do. By the time World War II rolls around, what they got to do is just have a hardcore, historical, accurate version, like servers that you can play on. I think then they can kind of cover both
Yeah.
bases. Because if you want to go have more fun, all right, you go play the normal game. If you want to have a more hardcore experience,
Yeah.
higher damage, stuff like that, bolt actions only, or maybe like historically correct guns.
Like locking it. I think Battlefield 1 used to do that. They used to have, it wasn't often, but they would have servers where it was just bolt actions.
Yeah.
And they would lock it, and it would be operations. So where it's like, I forget what the game was called, where you like push for the objectives.
Yeah.
But it would be that, but it would be all bolt actions. So they would do that for weekends, like Veterans Day weekend. They would do that.
That'd be
So
sick.
there was no Hellrogels. There was it was just bolt actions. So
Yeah.
that's how the game. They should have that all the time, where it's like locked skins and then like locked guns,
Yeah.
and then you can have fun.
Yeah.
Like both people can have fun.
'Cause, I mean, I feel like the rise of hardcore shooters, like they could probably try and get that demographic back, because I think guys love how fluid those games feel. How because I mean, Hell Let Loose, like I'll have games where I crash out, you know, it's buggy.
Yeah.
I think that rarely ever happened with Battlefield. I mean, it happened probably, but I remember it way less than Hell Let Loose.
Yeah, Hell Let Loose is like Stalingrad too. That map is horrible on console, at least for performance. It's just so bad, which is a shame, because I really want to live out my Enemy at the Gates fantasies. But
yeah, I've had some good sniping matches on that one, but yeah, dude, it's tough. God, the Russian tank for the IS-1.
oh,
That thing is a nightmare.
is that the one that has like the 120 millimeter?
I don't know what the millimeter, if I'm being honest, off the top of my head. But going against it is a nightmare, especially for certain gunners, depending on like their shot placement. Because it's like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no! It's like you can see the cannon coming around. I'm like, oh God, please suck, please suck. They just sit around right over my head. I'm like, oh thank God, we got another chance. Oh thank God. Yeah.
I gotta do some more tanking. I've been like, just joined random tank squads, and there's guys that like know what they're doing, and I'm like, I'm gonna be a good soldier here. Like, just tell me what to do, and then they put me on gunner or something, and I'm like,
that's what we'll do. If it's Tucker and I, and there's no one else, we'll grab a guy and be like, that's a solo tanker. I'm like, hey, you want a gun? He's like, are you messing with me? I'm like, no, you gun. He'll drive. I'll spot for you.
You want to be like nice to the people that are like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know, like randos, I guess, when it comes to like in your squad. I feel like, because then you don't want him to leave. That'd be my thing. Like, all right, you're going to spot, but then he gets bored and he's like, just dips out. So like the gun, I feel like would be like something
because
fun.
I mean, everyone gets like the same kills. So if the gunner's doing a great job and then you get all those kills, everyone's winning. Yeah. So it's like, that's where I see it. And it's like, dude, I don't trust you driving. Like, I trust my boy Tucker. Like, I enjoy playing with him so much. I bought him the Tiger Tank manual from the Tank Museum as a gift. I was like, here, dude, thanks for always driving.
That's awesome. So do you prefer to play as the German tanks? I mean, obviously you can't.
Oh, dude, yeah. I love playing as a German armor. I think that's probably my favorite. I hate playing as the British armor. I don't mind it as much playing as the Russian armor, getting IS-1. I've had some great matches as a Russian IS-1. I remember taking out 4 tanks in one go, you know, where it's like we come up and they're just not paying attention. Destroy heavy, destroy medium, destroy light, like threat priority 2. Like, I love that stuff. We also have to thank the optics sponsor of the channel, Optics Planet, really helping out, keeping the optics lights on here. Code LARP, get you 7% off the entire store, and I appreciate them very much.
It's been a while since I played it. I think I stopped playing Hell Let Loose around June because while I was doing the Grand during that time, I was like really Normandied out. Yeah. But I think their servers were just Normandy for like 2-3 weeks.
For June, they went really hard for Normandy.
And I got tired of playing like some of those maps, if I'm honest. Like,
I never thought I'd get tired of playing Normandy, but I did. Yeah, which is kind of wild.
Getting slaughtered on like Utah Beach constantly. Like, all right, I'm out.
God, yeah.
It's realistic.
Everyone's stoked to be the Germans for Normandy. Yeah, no one wants to be the Americans.
But I got tired of like the big fields, flooded fields. Like, all right, can we go to Africa or something? Like, can we do something else?
And normally I hate El Alamein.
Yeah.
But unless I'm tanking, then I'm like, all right, El Alamain's not so bad, guys. Yeah.
I'll take the 15 frames on Stalingrad. Like at this point, like I'm so tired of Normandy.
Dude, I love being the German armor on the Ostfront, like on Kursk, rolling in with that Tiger tank.
Is Kursk the one that's all flat?
Yeah, it's the fields. You have the windmills.
Okay.
Yeah, like certain houses that
with the trenches. Yeah. That's a good map.
That's pretty fun.
But it can be AIDS too.
Yeah.
Just because of but it's fun to like try and navigate the trenches.
It's one of those maps where you have to have a good armor crew up because of the sight lines and then the rolling hills. Yeah. It's definitely a tricky one.
Purple Heart Lane, I hate that map.
I love that map on armor.
Oh, really? Yeah. I hate it as infantry because I have to run across water.
They're doing some updates to Purple Heart Lane from what I saw.
Okay.
Making it a little bit better for the infantry, adding some more concealment and cover.
Because it's like a couple of like key bridges, which I get. It's realistic, but you jump in that water and it's just like 3, 2, 1, and it's like, all right.
Yeah, I was talking to my buddy Wade, and he was like, yeah, it was pretty bad for the Americans. That's why they called it Purple Heart Lane. It was pretty bad for the Americans for that battle.
So it's accurate.
Yeah, they took a lot of casualties. Something you don't really hear about from World War II, like perspective for us. Like you never hear about how bad we had it at certain times. It's always like Lieutenant Spears, Lieutenant Spears crossed the town and crushed it,
killed everybody or whatever.
Yeah, it's like you never hear about when things go really bad for us. You're like, oof, which is like, I mean, yeah, it makes sense for propaganda and stuff.
I didn't realize how the developers now. I'm sure guys that really know the history, but I've only watched Band of Brothers for the first time earlier this year, and I was looking at the map for one of the, I forget which map it is on Hell Let Loose, but it has like Winter's Landing Spot, and then it has the Brecourt Manor. It has like all those like points of interest, and I didn't even know that before. I'm like, well, so it looks like the developers like really put some attention to detail.
Pretty cool, yeah.
And it was pretty cool, like to see the battery is what it was like. Winter's Landing, and then it's like the battery is like on the same map. I forget what map it is.
It's definitely gotta be a Normandy map. Of course,
it is.
But I'm trying to think which one.
But it was cool because like I think the trenches were set up like in the same way because I think they take like satellite images and they do it that way. So we lost, but I was like trying to like relive my Band of Brothers like LARP.
Yeah, I love the 1, 2, 3 frags. They all throw their frags at once. That's pretty sick.
Those things like blow up like on impact too for some reason.
Like a mortar strike. Sick. Yeah.
So what else you want to talk about?
Oh, dude, this is it. I got my Hell Let Loose.
Hell Let Loose? We're done. I'm going back to Mississippi.
All right, dude. Thanks for coming out. Now, what do you got in the pipeline? What's the next projects you got going?
Red Right Hand LLC.
Oh, I saw that new carry handle upper.
Yeah, he sent me out the Resto Mod LMG.
Yeah.
kind of not an LMG. We can't really have LMGs, but
Yeah.
it's as close as you can get it to like the Colt LMG without like remanufacturing. Because he was talking to me in detail about how hard it would be to like actually manufacture. I don't know how familiar you are with the old Colt LMGs.
My memory is very hazy. I was gonna ask, weren't they like originally open bolt?
Yeah, it was an open bolt.
Yeah.
The barrel was like a bull barrel.
Mm.
This is all Cody's knowledge, by the way. I talked to him like for 2 hours one night, and he told me everything. But it's like a bull barrel. The front sight base is different. It's like way fatter. The muzzle device was machined for a bipod. Obviously the hand guards were different. No forward assist on an A2 upper because it was open bolt. So there's a lot of those little things that like people just don't make anymore. Like the machining, we don't have the machining here. Like it's all in Canada.
Yeah.
So it's like
Tony
very
Stark
hard.
made this in a cave. Yeah.
With a box of scraps. But yeah, it's like hard to make that. So he made like a resto mod kind of gun. And this will, I don't know when you plan on airing it, but I'm sure you guys will have seen the video, you know, by the time it airs. And it's essentially what he ended up doing was making like a 90s H bar A2.
Yeah.
And then just like putting the handguards on it and then putting his heat sinks and whatnot.
That's pretty sick.
It's pretty cool.
I like what he did with the I think it was the Recce LMG upper.
Yeah.
I thought he did a really good job. And I think that trend may come back again. Sometimes like certain trends like come back in cycles.
The bag gun is kind of
the bag gun is kind of I mean, I just posted a video on it today as of filming, but yeah, the bag gun kind of like had a resurgence. I'm still heavily on the fence about it for certain things, but I still like the idea of it. You know what I mean? It feels very American, where it's like, I got a big ass gun in this bag right here, Sonny. You know what I mean?
But it's like, I don't know how realistic it is to like carry a bag gun with you everywhere.
Yeah.
Like I told some of my people like when the Trump shooting happened, I was like, today's a big day for truck gun guys because they're like ready, dude. Like they have their bag gun and their truck gun and all this, but I just don't think it's very realistic.
Well,
or
yeah,
practical.
I mean, you're dealing with a lot of factors to where if you are the guy responding with a bag gun, dude, you're putting yourself in a really hairy situation.
Yeah.
Like not just the bad guy you're trying to deal with, but like the responding law enforcement are going to see you with a long gun and think you're the active shooter and smoke you.
Like I think about that scenario. Like I'm pretty sure every guy has a scenario where they think about like, what would I do in this situation? It's like you leave a mall, you get your family to safety. It's like, do I bring my bag gun back in or like try and be the hero?
Yeah.
But it's like, then you run into that like, well, the cops are going to see you and they're not going to know. It's going to be chaotic. Other concealed carry guys might think you're the shooter, and I don't know. It just depends on the scenario, I guess people have in their minds.
It's the never-ending what-if machine.
Yeah.
Where you can crank out a infinite number of what ifs. What if this happens? Well, and what if that? It's like, all right, dude, you got to go with what's most likely statistically going to happen.
Yeah.
If you look at the stats. To me, it's like, putting yourself in situations like that. It's like, all right, you get your family out, now you're going to run in there and potentially get killed yourself. Yeah. But I mean, you are trying to preserve innocent life, but you may get smoked by the cops. Like
It's like, but if you leave and that guy goes on to do, we're just made some hypothetical scenario here, but it's like, you have to live with that now. It's like, you got away, you got your family away, but like you could have went back in there and like it did something. And I feel like you have that responsibility too, but like, how do you do that smartly?
How do you have your wife raise a kid without a father now? If things went really bad, Yeah. So it's like, it's a grown man's world, dude. Big boy rules.
It is for sure.
It is not for the faint of heart. Catching lead would suck. So, especially catching lead from the guys that you want to be the good guys.
Yes.
It's how it goes, dude.
I played this scenario in my mind. This is not legal advice, but it's like, what if I carried like a hat in my, let's say I don't even carry a bag gun, but I carry a hat that says like police. Like I'd rather go down for like impersonating a police officer than like getting killed.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather have them be confused. Like, is this guy on our side? Like, who is this guy? Yeah, that's a stupid scenario.
I don't know you.
Exactly. Like, who's this guy?
Imposter. Yeah.
Like, it's a stupid scenario, but like I think about like different workarounds of how would you, if you had to do something like this, like how would you go about it
even
smartly?
If you do it smartly, they may high risk you and it slows them down from getting in there.
Yes.
So if you're like, hey guys, I'm on your team, like let's go clear it, they're gonna be like, get on the ground, get on the ground. You're like, oh no.
And I don't want to like be, like if the cops show up and I'm in a situation like that, I'm like, y'all have it. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm dipping out. I'm not trying to like LARP with the police, but it's like if you were in a situation like that and you had to do something.
I could see it.
You know what I mean?
If you were like an off-duty cop and you knew the guys showing up in theory,
Yeah.
like if that was like your local area where you worked, a little bit more plausible, a little bit less risky for you. You can be like, hey, give me your plate carrier in the back, or give me like a shield to carry or something. You could work with them if you really had to. This is of course a never-ending hypothetical.
Of course.
But like as a dude where you don't know, they don't know you, you don't know them, it just becomes that much more hairy.
Yeah.
And at the end, they're government employees at the end of the day. They're not like high-speed Christian Craig heads running around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, ooh, you never know what basket you're gonna get. You're gonna get.
I think where I live, I think you could go out and help a police officer, and I don't want to sound like a try hard. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like, the bootlicking try hard.
That's why I'm not trying to be like, I'm just like you. Like, let me help you. Like, I don't want to be the guy who
don't be Dan Bilzerian. Hey, give me your
exactly.
I got my creds. Yeah, dude, shut up. Get out of
here.
But like,
I've even seen footage of stuff like this where cops are in. I think that he was like arresting a guy on the side of the road. I don't know what state it was in.
Yeah.
But like some random, I think it was the Garda guys, the cash trucks.
Yeah.
He like pulled up like just randomly and like started helping a police officer. That's kind of different because I guess they get paid to carry a gun too.
Yeah.
But like where I live, where it's like very rural, you could definitely like get away with helping a police officer if that makes any sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Not to sound like, oh, I'm gonna run into an emergency and start helping police. Like I don't want to come across like that, but I'm saying like
in theory,
it's way more backwoods out there where it's like, you know what I mean? People are
part of me also has the idea of like, hey dog, this is your rodeo. You signed up for it, you know, where it's like you're getting paid to do this. I'm not risking my neck for the state.
Yeah.
So I could see that train of thought too.
Yeah.
Because everyone likes the idea of being the hero, you know. But it's like, hey man, there's a lot that could go wrong. You know, you could get hurt, and then who's covering that bill? So.
Yeah. I think like rural places, my point is like they can get away with like, I'm like phrasing this so badly.
With murder?
I'm phrasing it so badly, but like, you know, Phoenix or something.
Yeah, no, it's
like,
there's just too many people.
It's very structured, I feel like, and everything is very orderly, whereas in backwoods, it's just kind of anything goes in a weird way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Probably a little bit higher trust.
Yeah, it's the community.
Yeah.
They're not, when they pull you over and you have a gun, like they're not worried about it.
Yeah.
You carry a gun, however, and it's like, oh, it's normal. You know what I mean? It's a different culture out there.
Yeah. I feel like Arizona is a little bit better too. In some instances, like I remember dealing with people that, like tons of people that had guns, and it was always like, well, okay, that's Arizona. Who cares? Like, just slow down a little bit, please. Here's your warning. Have a good one. So
I never really carried a gun in Arizona. I mean, I lived here for 9 months. I was never pulled over or interacted with any police, but you know, I haven't really like experienced that too much in Arizona, at least. But Tucson's a little more liberal too.
Yeah.
Which is where I'm from, so I don't know how they would react down there. But I mean, you said you knew some.
I mean, there's
TPD.
I know some TPD guys that are pretty cool dudes, very much like gun owners, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yet again, it goes back to you never know who you're going to deal with. You may not be dealing with the cool guy on the squad.
Yeah.
You may be dealing with a nerd that's like, well, why do you have this gun? Why do you need a gun? It's like, hey, dude, there's this thing called the Second Amendment, right? So,
which I think I was looking at some news today. They're like trying to suspend. I don't know if that's true or not. I think Mr. Gunsgear was putting something on his Instagram. I saw it in Florida because of the stuff going on.
Yeah.
That they put like an order out or something. This could be fake news, by the way. I don't want to spread fake news. You could fact check it later. But they were like, nobody with a gun out, like only police kind of thing.
Trying to do like a martial law aspect.
Yeah, like a Katrina thing again. Yeah. So,
dude, I was a child during Katrina, but looking back at that whole thing, dude, oh my gosh, could you imagine?
I've never done the deep dive on it.
Well, I mean, they were disarming neighborhoods that like they were going into like the wealthy neighborhoods and disarming them, but they wouldn't mess with like the gang-ridden areas because they were like afraid, if I recall correctly. Like they were, and then I think there was like Blackwater mercs, like dusting dudes from. If this is all like, I have not researched it. Maybe it'd be a good video to research, but
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't really done it. I've heard though that they like took guns from people and. Yeah, some bad things happened.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Kanye was ahead of the time, I guess.
Dude, Kanye was on it. Kanye was on the money. Gosh, dude.
It's just weird to be here, man. It's very surreal.
Dude, yeah, it's great to have you, man. I feel like your channel is definitely on the, even though it's considered smaller, I think you have great potential. And so it's just fun to get you out. And like, I really enjoy your content. I don't care if you're like a mega YouTuber yet, but you will be. So I enjoy watching your stuff. And so I think it's fun to have you out. So
yeah, it's cool to be here. I mean, watching the channel, been a fan, obviously, for a little bit. So made some good stuff, you know, to say the least. But it's just cool to I'm just very thankful, you know, to have this opportunity. Yeah. The whole thing, just the people I've met throughout the whole thing so far.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just under 10,000 right now, subscribers. But I've already made friends, like, for life. Now I've made connections with people. Like, even if I got banned or whatever, I could still say that it was a success because, you know, I met so many cool people already.
I feel like you're in the phase where it's probably going to get harder and harder. Like YouTube, I definitely feel it. Like I'll have videos that get retroactively age restricted, which I have like theories that maybe it puts a little bit of like a punishment on your views overall. Like I had videos that were manually reviewed by a human reviewer that were monetized, and then down like I had one that was like I think 2 years later almost, or a year later, that's like age restricted. And so I think when that happens, they're like, hey, what's going on?
Which ones were age restricted?
My MG42 video where I was getting shot at it, that one got age restricted.
Isn't that like millions of views? Like,
yeah. So that one, I mean, I got a good run out of it. Like some of the full auto stuff was, in theory, it's not actually full auto, but some of that stuff was getting age restricted.
How do they know?
I don't know.
I mean, obviously they can see, right? But is it AI?
Dude, my trigger fingers is so fast. Like, I don't get it.
Because I may or may not be doing a binary thing here in the future, and I'm like kind of worried about that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because I think that's not allowed on YouTube. But
yeah, I mean, it's crazy because it's all 100%. Everything's 100% legal that we do.
Yes.
So, which
all
is
the
very
time.
frustrating. Allegedly.
Like Grantham, I don't know how he does some of his stuff where he has, I think it was the M16A4 video came out, I want to say. His more recent one. I mean, there's bursts in that. I don't want to like blur out his name because I don't want YouTube to like see this and get mad or anything. But I've seen some creators that it seems like they do full auto, but they don't get punished for it. Yeah. So I don't know how it works at that level because I've obviously never had a full auto on the channel or anything. But
yeah, I mean, as long as it's just semi-automatic, you know,
I guess
we should be good.
Full semi-automatic.
Full semi, yeah. No, it's one of those things. And I've had other videos that were nothing but semi-automatics get age restricted too. Like
really
guns that were clearly like semi-automatic, but they were like age restricted. It's like what the heck, dude? So
that's weird.
And then I was trying to appeal it, but nothing happened. So
that was with the Call of Duty 4M4 video.
Yeah,
they demonetized it, or they gave me the yellow, and I repealed it like twice.
Yeah,
and they're like no, and I think it was because I show the road out in front of my house, and like if you read in the policy or whatever, it's like must be on a safe controlled range, cannot be near any streets. So I think it had to do with the street, because in the first few minutes, like the first minute, I'm like down my road. It's a rural road. It's like nothing's going on. There's no people. Like it's all safe controlled environment.
Yeah,
but I think that's what did it for me.
It's interesting. Yeah.
So,
dang, dude. Yeah, YouTube sucks in that aspect. It's kind of like a pity party. We're like, man, YouTube making gun stuff hard, but that makes, dude, yeah, it's suboptimal.
It is. And then you got the people that are like, go to Rumble, and it's like, I'm already there, and you don't know about me, so.
Dude, Rumble, it's really hard. One thing I talk about, it's really hard to break people's doom scrolling habits, like Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. YouTube's probably one of the biggest one, and YouTube's just a massive search engine.
Yeah.
So not being on YouTube is just like it's a bad idea, because that's where you get a lot of your exposure from. It's tough, dude.
It's the place to be, I think, still. And I just don't like any of the other, like Rumble. I think you guys talked about it on podcast before. But Hickok, he did a video, one of his more recent ones. I sound like a boomer here because I watch Hickok, but he's an OG.
Dude, he's S tier.
He's elite,
he's OG, baby.
But he was saying that people were asking him, like, oh, go to Rumble. And he's like, we're already there on Rumble. Like, you don't even know about me? Like, that just tells me that you just repeat this phrase.
Just go to Rumble. It's like, guys, trust me, I'd love to be elsewhere. Thankfully, I mean, we've had PEPPERBOX, which I think is working out a little bit better. You know, there's no, like, I mean, I like it. I'm enjoying it. It's kind of a plug for PEPPERBOX, but it's working. Hopefully, we'll expand a little bit more, but it's another alternative.
Yeah.
But dude, I worry about the future when it comes to YouTube stuff. Like I really do. The longevity of like when they're eventually just gonna be like, all right, not worth the money for having them on. In theory, like talking to some guys, like the gun niche is like one of the highest verticals where there's like not as many creators as other niches. It feels like there's a lot, but in comparison, there's probably not that much. But it's one of the most viewed like niches. So who knows?
There's definitely a market for it. So if everybody got banned, the power vacuum would have to go somewhere.
Yeah.
But where would it go? You know?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I mean, I have like tinfoil hat theories to where it's like they know they can't win the culture war. Because I mean, if you think about just how much like how cool guns are compared to how cool not having a gun is.
Yeah.
It's like if you said, "Hey, would you like to not see or not deal with guns?" And everyone's like, "No, guns are cool. Like I want to see that stuff. They're intrinsically cool. Everything about them." Like when you think of history, you think of military history, and like if you think of like firearms involving military history, it's like a big part of it. So it's like, well, that's all interesting stuff. I want to see that. So, and a lot of the coolest movies revolve around guns, you know. So
it's got to go somewhere. But like the biggest problem I think with Rumble or other platforms is that they're echo chambers for. I'm a conservative,
right?
But I don't want to like be on social media where it's just conservatives all day.
Hey, liberal. Yeah.
Like it's like gold, selling gold. Yeah. It's people saying the N word, and then it's like, you know, and I'm like, all right, well, I want to go on YouTube because it's like there are video game stuff on YouTube. There's cooking. There's all this other whatever.
There's other rabbit holes. Yeah, that's the appeal.
It's like all schizo people on, and I can get schizo too. Don't get it twisted. I love a good schizophrenic.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't want to be surrounded by that all the time.
That would get old. Yeah, that would not be as fun.
It's like a lot of bots and I don't know. It's weird. They're just weird.
I think Twitter has potential if they can. I've said it before, but if they can update the UI to be more friendly to long form videos, to where you can actually have like a catalog of people's long form stuff, I think that would have some good potential. Like this, like Jimmy Beast uploading, like as an example, he had some successful uploads to Twitter for his channel. I don't know, maybe if there was pushing it with Elon being like, "Hey, look how good this is." Like, you know, "Hey guys, like, hey," you know what I mean? Or they want to showcase that, but who knows how that'll do over time. So,
yeah, Twitter would be a good one to go to. I still call Twitter.
I still call Twitter.
That's what it is. Until they change the domain, it's Twitter to me.
Yeah.
But that would probably be. I feel like if we all got banned on YouTube, everybody would just like hit up Elon, and then he would like see it and be like, "All right." I would hope in my ideal world, he'd be, "All right, let me make a platform for." I mean, that'd be cool. But I mean, YouTube's still the place to be, and I think like the filmmaking aspect of it, so to speak, like the skits, because I want to say there's a stipulation in the new rules that say if it's like
artistic,
or if it's like a real, for some reason, a real war, you can show a real war and it won't get age restricted.
Yeah, humans actually shooting rounds at each other.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, all right.
But like that kind of stuff is kind of like protected. It seems like. So I try to like make sure my skits are. It's clear that the skit is like fake or whatever. The shooting intro, whatever's not.
Yeah,
it's not real. It's not real bullets. All right, YouTube.
It's all CGI.
That's all fake.
Yeah. Well, speaking of getting crushed by the YouTube algorithm and making YouTube videos, we probably should go make a YouTube video.
We should make a YouTube video. Do you have any ideas?
I thought we were doing your video.
I thought you had all the ideas.
Gentlemen, I appreciate you watching. Robert, where can they find you at?
Instagram. You can go check out Instagram, my website, YouTube, of course, Agent Espo. I'm at Agent Espo on Instagram and YouTube.
Up and coming star in the YouTube gun zeitgeist. I really appreciate him coming out, making the trek with his lovely family, and we're going to go suffer in the desert heat. It's September 30th as of filming it, and the high today I think is 106.
I was born in Arizona, so this is like comforting to me.
Send me your prayers, please. It'll be retroactive prayers, but it means like through the good Lord's time and space they got to me. I have nothing else for you, gentlemen. I will catch you on the flip.